Why does everyone worship Steven Spielberg like a god of cinema? Let me tell you something controversial. Most so-called film fans only pretend to love his blockbusters. They quote Jaws, but skip the soul. They scream for dinosaurs, but forget the human heart. If you truly love Spielberg as a director, you do not just watch his hits. Here are the 10 movies that prove your love is real.
Number 10, Munich, 2005.
This film hurts, and that is exactly why you must love it. Spielberg stepped into the darkest shadows of the 21st century with Munich. He did not give you a hero. He gave you a broken man, 5 assassins, 1 bloody mission after the 1972 Olympics massacre. The director asked a brutal question: how far can revenge twist a human soul? Eric Bana delivers raw silence more powerful than any gunshot. The movie has no easy answers, no flag-waving finale, just a cold truth about violence eating itself alive. Spielberg filmed this like a paranoid thriller: grainy textures, nervous close-ups, phone calls that feel like death sentences. You will not cheer, you will not cry. You will sit in the dark, questioning everything. That is serious filmmaking. That is a director who grew up. Munich strips away every kid-friendly wonder from E.T. and Jurassic Park. It replaces wonder with dread. It replaces joy with moral weight. If you only want happy endings, do not press play. But if you love Spielberg, the artist, not just the entertainer, then Munich stands as his most adult masterpiece. Watch it alone. Let it linger for days.
Number 9, The Fabelmans, 2022.
Sammy Fabelman watches a train crash on screen. Then he rebuilds the crash with his tiny camera. That moment is Steven Spielberg's whole life compressed into one frame. The Fabelmans is not a biopic. It is an exorcism. The director finally admitted that his art came from family pain, from a mother's secret, from a father's disappointment, from a lie that shattered everything. Michelle Williams dances in the headlights like a ghost of lost joy. Gabriel Labelle holds a camera like a shield against the world. Every young filmmaker will recognize that feeling. You film reality to control it. You edit your trauma into a story that makes sense. Spielberg does something shocking here. He shows you the ugly backstage of his own childhood, the affair, the divorce, the anti-Semitic bullies in high school, and he does not flinch. The final scene has him meeting the real John Ford. That conversation is a direct message to every dreamer. Low horizons, mountains in the background. That is cinema. That is life. The Fabelmans proves Spielberg never stopped being that scared kid with a Super 8 camera. If you love the director for his honesty, not his explosions, then this movie will wreck you beautifully.
Number 8, Lincoln, 2012.
Daniel Day-Lewis does not play Abraham Lincoln. He becomes the man. He becomes the tired voice, the crooked spine, the storyteller who dodges arguments with parables. Spielberg directs Lincoln like a historian who also loves dirty politics. This is not a birth-to-death biopic. This is a legislative thriller. The 13th Amendment, the Civil War's final months, the backroom deals and bribes and lies needed to end slavery. Tony Kushner's script crackles with Old English fury. Tommy Lee Jones as Thaddeus Stevens spits fire. Sally Field weeps as Mary Todd Lincoln. But the heart belongs to Spielberg's patience. He lets scenes breathe. He lets arguments last 10 minutes. He lets the House of Representatives vote with real tension. You will cheer for a roll call. That is magic. Lincoln also asks a painful question. Can good men use evil tools to achieve justice? The answer is messy. The answer is human. Spielberg does not glorify war. He shows you the exhausted president who carries the weight of 1,000,000 graves. If you love this director for his reverence toward history, his love of language, and his trust in actors, then Lincoln is your monument. Watch it twice. The second time, just watch Day-Lewis's hands.
Number 7, Saving Private Ryan, 1998.
The first 27 minutes changed war movies forever. No heroic music, no patriotic speeches, just chaos, just blood and sand and a boy crying for his mother. Spielberg shot Omaha Beach like a newsreel from hell. Shaky cameras, muffled sound, bodies torn apart before you learn their names. This is not entertainment. This is an anti-war film disguised as a rescue mission. Tom Hanks leads a squad of terrified men. They cross France to save one soldier. The mission makes no tactical sense. That is the point. War is stupid. War is random. War kills the gentle Mellish in a slow knife fight that still haunts viewers 20 years later. Spielberg earned his second Best Director Oscar here because he refused to flinch. He showed you the horror. Then he showed you the humanity. The final battle at Ramel is a masterpiece of spatial storytelling. You know every alley, every window, every death. And when Private Ryan, as an old man, falls to his knees at a grave, you understand the film's true mission. Earn this. Spielberg asks you to earn the memory of sacrifice. If you love this director for his courage, his technical genius, and his ability to make war feel like a nightmare you cannot wake from, then Saving Private Ryan is essential. Bring tissues. Do not blink.
Number 6. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977.
A man sits in his truck at a railroad crossing. A UFO passes overhead. His face turns into pure awe. That is the entire movie in one expression. Close Encounters is not about destruction. It is about obsession. Richard Dreyfuss plays Roy Neary, an ordinary electrician who sees something impossible. Then he cannot stop seeing it. He loses his job, his family, his sanity. He builds a mountain out of mashed potatoes. He shaves a sculpting project into a devil's tower. Spielberg treats this obsession with total seriousness. No irony, no sarcasm, just the terrifying, beautiful pull of the unknown. The special effects still shimmer. The 5-note communication still sends chills, and the ending remains the boldest choice of Spielberg's career. Roy leaves his children. He boards the mothership. He abandons Earth for mystery. Most directors would have added a tearful goodbye. Spielberg lets him go, because that is what wonder demands. Total surrender. The film also features François Truffaut as a scientist, a real French New Wave legend acting in a sci-fi epic. That is Spielberg's secret heart. He loves art cinema as much as popcorn. If you love this director for his unapologetic wonder, his belief in the extraordinary, and his willingness to let characters change forever, then Close Encounters is your gospel. Turn off the lights, turn up the volume, hear the tone.
Number 5. Jurassic Park, 1993. Nobody believed dinosaurs could look real. Then Spielberg showed a brachiosaurus breathing on screen. Sam Neill's character takes off his sunglasses. He stumbles backward. He falls to his knees. That is the audience. That is every child who ever dreamed of prehistoric giants. Jurassic Park blends wonder and terror like no other blockbuster. The T-Rex escape scene is pure suspense architecture. Rain, rippling water, a goat leg on a roof. Then the monster arrives. No digital crutch. A 70-foot animatronic that actually roared. Spielberg also respects the science, the chaos theory speech, the DNA splicing, the moral warning about playing God, but he never lets the message kill the fun. The raptors in the kitchen are a horror movie inside a family film. The lawyer on the toilet is dark comedy gold, and the final shot of a T-Rex roaring over a banner that says, "When dinosaurs ruled the earth," is the most triumphant image of the 1990s. Spielberg waited years to make this movie. He wanted technology to catch up to his imagination. When it finally happened, he delivered a film that never gets old. The dinosaurs still look real. The suspense still works. The wonder still hits. If you love this director for his patience, his showmanship, and his ability to make you believe in magic, then Jurassic Park is your ride. Hold on to your butt. Number 4. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982. A boy hides a wrinkly alien in his closet. They eat Reese's Pieces. They fly a bicycle across the moon. That image alone defines Spielberg's entire career. E.T. is not a science fiction movie. It is a divorce movie, a loneliness movie, a movie about a child who needs a friend so badly he finds one from another galaxy. Henry Thomas' auditions were legendary. He cried on command thinking about a dead dog. That raw emotion powers every frame. The government men in spacesuits are not villains. They are adults who cannot understand childhood. The final goodbye scene where E.T. says, "I'll be right here," still breaks hearts 40 years later. Spielberg filmed from a child's eye level. He made the suburban skies feel infinite. He let John Williams write a score that soars and aches in equal measure. E.T. beat Star Wars at the box office. It stayed #1 for months because every kid saw themselves in Elliot. Every parent remembered their own imaginary friend, and every cynic had to admit that Spielberg made a pure film about love without cynicism. If you love this director for his empathy, his understanding of family brokenness, and his ability to make you sob over a puppet, then E.T. is the test. Watch it again, watch it with a child, then try not to cry. Number 3, Schindler's List, 1993. Spielberg almost did not make this film. He doubted himself. He doubted his right to tell this story. Then he shot in black and white. He shot on location at Auschwitz. He broke down crying on set every day. And he created the definitive Holocaust film. Schindler's List follows a Nazi businessman who starts as a profiteer and ends as a savior. Liam Neeson transforms from charming devil to weeping saint. The girl in the red coat is the most famous color pop in cinema history. Ralph Fiennes as Eamon Guth is not a monster. He is a bored bureaucrat who shoots Jews from his balcony for target practice. That is more terrifying than any fiction. The film runs over 3 hours. It never feels long. It feels necessary. The liquidation of the ghetto scene has no music, just screams, just boots on cobblestones, just a little boy hiding in feces. Spielberg forces you to look. He refuses to cut away, and then he delivers the ending where surviving Jews place stones on Schindler's grave. Real survivors, real stones, real tears. If you love this director for his moral courage, his obsessive detail, and his ability to turn history into irreversible grief, then Schindler's List is his greatest achievement. It won Best Picture. It won Best Director. It won your permanent respect. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Harrison Ford shoots a sword-wielding assassin. He could have had a choreographed fight. Instead, he was sick with dysentery, so he just pulled his gun. That improvisation became the most Indiana Jones moment ever. Raiders of the Lost Ark is pure joy, distilled into celluloid. Spielberg teamed with George Lucas to make a B-movie with A-plus talent. The boulder chase, the flying wing fight, the ghostly melting faces at the end. Every set piece is a masterclass in visual storytelling. No wasted dialogue, no CGI crutches, just stuntmen falling off trucks and snakes crawling on glass. Karen Allen as Marion drinks guys under the table. Paul Freeman as Belloc is a villain you almost respect. John Williams wrote the marching brass anthem that makes you straighten your spine. And Spielberg directed every frame like a kid playing with action figures. But here is the secret. Raiders works because it takes itself seriously. Indy bleeds, Indy fails. The Ark kills everyone who looks at it. That is Old Testament wrath inside a Saturday matinee. If you love this director for his kinetic energy, his love of cliffhangers, and his ability to make adventure feel dangerous, then Raiders is your temple. Watch it on the biggest screen possible. Turn the bass up, and never apologize for loving the greatest action movie ever made. Number 1, Jaws, 1975. The shark broke. Every single day. The mechanical fish named Bruce sank. It leaked. It refused to work. And that disaster made Spielberg a genius. Without a working shark, he had to suggest the monster. John Williams's 2-note theme, the yellow barrels, the underwater POV, the floating head of a fisherman. Your imagination filled the gaps. And your imagination is scarier than any puppet. Jaws invented the summer blockbuster. It stayed in theaters for over a year. It made people afraid of bathwater. But the film is not just a horror movie, it is a character study. Roy Scheider as Chief Brody is a city cop afraid of water. Robert Shaw as Quint delivers the USS Indianapolis speech, a real monologue about real terror. Richard Dreyfuss as Hopper is the nerd who saves the day. 3 men on a boat, 1 giant shark. Spielberg builds tension like a trap. The beaches are crowded, the parents are distracted. The little boy on the raft is doomed. Then the third act becomes Moby Dick on a budget. The orca sinking, Quint getting swallowed, Brody firing the rifle. Smile, you son of a bitch. That line is earned. That explosion is relief. If you love Spielberg as a director, you love Jaws first. It proved that limits become strengths. It proved that suspense beats gore. It proved that a young filmmaker with no budget and a broken robot could change Hollywood forever. Watch it every summer. Feel the water. Check your feet. So there you have it. 10 Spielberg movies that prove your fandom is real. Which one broke you first? Comment below. Subscribe if you love real cinema. And remember, the director never stopped chasing wonder. Neither should you. Smile, you son of a bitch. See you next time.